Hello everyone, it's Professor Grady here. This week our project in SGD 117 is a subtractive portrait. A subtractive portrait is where you already are working on a canvas, file, background, whatever you're doing your art on, that has color to it. Usually it's like a very, very pure dark color. We're going to use a black background for ours. And you're actually adding white or adding light. This is very different from how we normally work because usually we start with a white piece of paper and we add darkness. But this time we're starting with a dark, quote unquote, piece of paper and adding white. The first thing you need to do is take a selfie. This selfie needs to be in a 3/4 view, which means your head is at an angle. It should not be front on. You want the head to be in perspective. It also needs to be in high contrast lighting. Sadly, I took this selfie in the classroom, so my lighting is not as high contrast as I would like. I highly recommend taking your selfie next to a window so you can turn away from it slightly, get some sunlight on one side of the face and some darkness on the other side of the face. I straight up open this selfie. You can get it onto your computer through email or just sending it to yourself via Teams. And again, I opened it. I didn't place it into a document. So it's very important that you open it and don't make a new document and place it in there. Everyone's size is going to be different. It's going to be dependent on either your phone or camera that you use to take the selfie. The first thing I'm going to do is make this black and white. I'm going to go into my layers here and I'm going to go down to my adjustment layers and hit solid color and make it black. I'm just going to put that down at the bottom. That's going to be our ground by the end. I'll have to double click my picture so it becomes layer 0. So you can see I have a color fill that's black on the bottom and my image is up here. Now that it's editable, I could go back to that adjustment layer button and go to black and white. And what you can see that it's still pretty low contrast. We're going to use another adjustment layer in a second to help fix that. But I'm going to hover in between black and white and layer 0, press my Alt key, and you'll see a little square with an arrow shows up. This means clipping mask. I'm going to click or tap, and this means that this adjustment layer will only be applied to the layer below it. Let's go ahead and go back there again, and we're going to go to curves. Curves allows us to increase the contrast of what we're trying to do here. So I'm going to kind of push it up and then make a little S curve. So it's pushing my darks and my lights. I do want it to be overall a little bit darker. So I'm going to pull that down. That works a little bit better. So now I really have one part of my face that is a little bit lighter and another part of my face that is a little darker. I wish I didn't wear my glasses for this screenshot or the selfie, but can we just laugh about the fact that there's a reflection of my phone in my glasses? I think that's pretty funny. But all this is my base. So I'm just going to straight up put this in a folder because we're not going to be editing this. So I'm going to just add that to a folder. And I'm away from my keyboard right now. I'm using my Cintiq, which means my keyboard is closer to my other monitor. So I'm not going to name it, but you should name it like base and lock that layer so you won't edit it. I'll make a layer above it, and that's the layer that I'm actually going to work on and draw on. But we need actual drawing space, and we're going to use a new technique that allows us to use a grid in Photoshop to help us draw this accurately, because this is an accuracy exercise. I'm going to go to image, and I'm going to go to canvas size. I'm going to have to grab my keyboard. After all, that's okay. It has a long cord. Image, canvas size, there we go. And what we need to do is double the width. We need to double the width. You can either use a calculator to calculate that, or you can simply go, I think it's asterisk for multiplication, 2. Oh, I wasn't ready to hit enter yet. Undo. Image, canvas size, asterisk, 2. And let's see if it will, yeah, there we go. So I clicked when I went to height, which we're not going to change. That took effect. And so now my width is double what it was. I also want to make sure that this new stuff is anchored on the right. So I'm going to click this left arrow, which will make the content I already have weighed to the left and the new canvas on the right. So now I have a piece of canvas that is the exact same size as my photo. So the next thing we're going to do is make our grid. I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to go to view, and I'm going to show, and I want to show the grid. This grid is not helpful. It has way too many lines, so we need to fix that. We're going to go to edit, preferences, guides, grids, and slices. So we need to decide how much we want that grid line. And to figure that out, I'm actually going to exit out here for a moment. We need that width from our canvas size. And we got to do some math. We're going to have to divide it by something. So my width is 4632. I want to divide it by things divisible by 2, numbers divisible by 2, because we definitely want a grid line that goes halfway between our two spaces here, our image and our canvas. So let's see, 4, 6, 3, 2. I bet that's divisible by 6. Let's see. It is. That's the perfect number, and I get 772. I might need to divide it by 4 to make sure that we get a grid line in the halfway point. But let's go ahead and try that. The important thing is we get a number that's less than 1,000. So let's see if that number works. I think we'll have to do something divisible by 4, but we can try it out. So I want it every 772 pixels. There we go. And everyone's is going to be different, okay? Because your phone may have a different image size than my phone, etc. Let's hit OK. That worked out beautifully. I got a nice center line, and it's 3 little squares on each side. So this will work out splendidly. So if you got a number divisible by 2, divide your width by a number that's divisible by 2. I recommend trying 8 first. 6 worked for me. 4 may work for you, but you need a number that's less than 1,000. And it needs to divide evenly across your canvas. So the same amount of grids I have here, 1, 2, 3, are the same amount of grids I have on my image, 1, 2, 3. All right. And it needs to go up height-wise too, which it does for me. We're hunky-dory. So now that I have my grid set up, I can finally start drawing. But there's one thing I need to do first. I need to go up to View, and I need to go to Snap 2, and make sure that it does not snap to my grid. It looks like it does not. It is not checked. I'm going to check anything else. I'll test it out. I'll go ahead and switch my front color to white. Yeah, it's good. It is not snapping to my grid. So if you have that issue, make sure you go to View, Snap to, and that Snap to Grid is turned off. I'm going to start out with a pencil-like brush. Actually, my Ryan brush will be fine. I just need to increase the flow a little bit. Remember, you can use your bracket keys to make your brush smaller or larger. And what I'm going to use, I'm going to treat each one of these little squares like it's its own canvas. So I can come over here and be like, well, the hair comes to about this far on this little square. That is not the layer I want to be on. In fact, this group is supposed to be locked. Why did it do that? I want to draw on this layer. There we go. But it looks like it comes to here. If I go over to this, I could be like, hey, this looks like it comes out to there. It looks like my face starts right here. If I look at this space here, I can say, hey. And I'm going to make little light hash marks. They need to be light. You don't want a heavy white outline around your drawing. This comes up more like this. Glasses. And then breaking it down into a grid like this and just being like, hey, what does this square do? Hey, what does this square do? How does it compare to this square? Helps you break down those spatial relationships and have a very accurate drawing. By the end, this is going to be more of a painting than a drawing, and that is okay. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make little dashes for my eye line. You can see it's super light. And for my mouth there too. And a little trapezoid to represent the underside of my nose. Then it's time to get to work. I'm going to keep on using the brush that I have. It's a brush that I'm used to, but I'm going to lower the opacity down. I also really like a square brush for this exercise. You can actually go and find many free brushes online. A square brush is really nice for this. What's really important is we're only going to add white or erase white, and we're not going to do it at 100% opacity. We're slowly going to build it up. What we don't want to do yet is that sampling technique for blending until the very end. We'll do it eventually, but just not yet. Make my brush a little bigger here. And I can start blocking in light areas. And of course, if I have large areas of light color, I can always use my lasso tool to start selecting the, oh, was that right? Yes. Start selecting those areas of lighter value. Grab a soft airbrush. Lower the opacity it is, make it nice and big. And just start to add a little bit of value. But this is just part of the step. It's not where you end. So if you're doing that, make sure you go back with a harder brush as well to add your details. I'm not bringing it up fully with this. I'm just getting a general application to get started. Let's see where else we got some light here. We got some on the neck. Shadow appears to go about there. Got a little bit on the hair here. Let's see. And we'll add a little bit to the background because you don't want to just leave it solid black. Adding the background will help differentiate the silhouette of your character, or your portrait rather. I'm just going to add a little bit, maybe a lot here where my hair is really dark to have contrast. Okay. So now I'll go in, switch back to my brush, which is just my special brush. It's just a hard round with pressure sensitivity. That's all what it is. Start blocking in those values. And I'm going to do this for a little while. While I work on this, there's one thing that I want to point out too. Remember that your eraser is also a drawing tool. So we're not going to sample, we're not going to add black, we're only adding white. But if we need to get some of that black, make sure that you use your eraser tool to help with that. Okay, let's see. Got a little bit of light on my lips there. Some light over here. And I'm not going to be able to bring this to its finished point. You would just be sitting here all day watching me do this. But I am going to make sure I teach you each technique required to complete this assignment. Okay, let's see how far my eyes are up. They're a little bit lower than that. I get the question a lot on this assignment, do I have to draw my glasses if I wear glasses? And the answer is yes. But I probably would save that for a little bit later. You can see I'm just working with a relatively large to medium sized brush right now. I'm not going into fine details. I'm just getting my overall shape blocked out. Go ahead and block my glasses in there very loosely. So one thing that's really, really helpful when you're working digitally is we can flip our canvas. Like right now, I'm struggling getting the eyes marked out. So I'm going to flip my canvas to help me figure out what's going on there. And I'll probably zoom in a little bit too to help get those eyes right. But you want to work zoomed out mostly so you can see the overall, like how it's affecting the overall canvas. But I'm going to go to Image, Image Rotation, Flip Canvas horizontally. And this will help point out some of the issues. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so I can really get this eye and this side of the face correct. I am going to switch to a square brush. These, I'll go down to the dev brushes here. You can find these on ArtStation. Should have a main. There we go. Basic pencil, square. There we go. That's what I want. That works a little bit more like an actual paintbrush. But remember, for now, we're only adding white and erasing. We're not sampling yet. I might actually just, yeah, go right in here. Make sure I have that same brush set to my eraser. And you're like, isn't the whole point of this exercise to add light instead of adding darkness? Yeah, but even when we're drawing additively with graphite, we can still use our eraser as a drawing tool. Just don't rely on it. Stay true to the spirit of the exercise. Switching to my eraser here. Remember that top lip is concave, so most of the time it does have some kind of shadowing on it. I'm going to just zoom out really far to check the lineup of the eyes. One is definitely bigger, but I knew that. It looks like I pushed my mouth too far over to on the 3/4, so I'm going to flip again. Oh yeah, I definitely see the issue there. Okay. And I want to I need to pause in a second so I can show you the other techniques, but I just want to polish not polish, I'm not even near the polish phase, but work on this just a little bit more before I go to the next steps. Now this must be a self-portrait in case if that wasn't clear. I figured that would be clear since it's a selfie and I'm drawing myself, but just to state on the record, this must be a self-portrait. It can not be of someone else. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment so I can talk about what to do next here. You may start to notice that you have a lot of very streaky brush strokes, and you're used to dealing with those by the alt sampling or scumbling technique. Now we're not, while we again will use it eventually, we're going to save it for the very, very end when we're really refining our work. So we're going to use a different brush to help us blend some of our brush strokes for now, called the Scratchy Blender brush. This, because we want to avoid the blender brush sometimes because it can make our work look very airbrushed and foggy and blurry. We want to keep as much definition and style as possible. But with the Scratchy Blender, it actually adds texture to it. let me go ahead and go to my smudge tool here, and I'm going to locate in, I think it's in special effects brushes. It might be in a little bit down. The wet blender is really fun too. That's worth looking at. But we want the scratchy blender brush. There it is. It is under special effects. And this does exactly as advertised. It makes a very scratchy, grainy blend of your brush strokes. But again, be careful of using it too much because it can blur your portrait, and then you lose all your definition. And you can see it's like rotating to really give it variety, which is nice. And you can see I'm really doing it around the eyes because I need to add a whole bunch of darkness back to it. I'm going to stop there because I'm already over blending. Oh, just that one spot. Okay. So now I did overblend a little bit. I can tell you that straight up. But my plan was to go back to do that so I can go back and really get these details and creases of the eyes. And my eyebrows for that matter. Okay, so let's talk about another new technique that we haven't learned yet. There is something wrong with the mouth, and I could just work on it and work on it until I get it right. But we're going to use some digital tools to help us out with this. I'm going to flip my canvas again just so I can really tell what's wrong with it. It's just a little low. And I think my nose is maybe a little bit long, but it does come down here. Let's really analyze it. Are my eyes too high? Yeah, it's actually my eyes are too high. My nose, everything could go a little bit lower. And I could just select it and use distort, but we're going to use something called the liquify tool. The liquify tool allows you to make subtle changes with almost like with a brush, so you don't get those really awkward cuts when using transform. So we're going to go up to filter, liquify, zoom in here. Okay. We're going to grab our forward tool there, and we're going to move some things around. I can increase my brush size just like I can. I'm going to bring those eyes down. I hate, let me check my settings to, don't want it to show mesh, don't want it to show guides. I just want to change. There we go. Okay, now we should be able to really see our changes. It's not letting me move it much. I'm gonna hit cancel and try again. Filter. Nope, I don't want vanishing point. I don't know what that one does, though it looks cool, doesn't it? Filter, liquefy. Okay. Still not really doing anything. They have a face tool as well, but sometimes it can't detect the face in the image. On the right layer, got my forward brush, but it's not moving. What if we took off stylish pressure? Nope. Pucker, bloat, swirl. Well, guys, I really wanted to show it to you, but it is not cooperating. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to select the nose and the eyes. And I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Warp. And we can just pull it up a little, down a little bit if we want to, as needed. Start making some small adjustments using our grid to help us out. Yeah, that's right. Select, deselect, select, deselect. And you can, this is why I wanted to use the liquefy tool instead, because I wanted to avoid that seam. But we can just use our scratchy blender brush to soften that up. But if I could use liquefy, I wouldn't have had that issue. I love portraits. They're so fun. Okay, so I still have plenty I need to work on. Um, but the last step would be the sampling part. And that's when you would make a new layer, and then you're going to zoom in, and you're going to start cleaning this up a little bit. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can still see my picture here. I'm going to hold down Alt so I can sample and paint. Alt, sample, and paint. So I'm no longer just adding white and erasing white. I am going to start working in a full range of grays just to clean everything up as it should be. And again, I'm not going to finish it. I'm having fun, so I'm going to work on it just a tad longer. But this is a very time-consuming project, so just expect a little bit of time sink this week. Really need to address these glasses, but I don't wanna. But I need to. And the fact that I don't want to means that I really need to clean them up. I'll do that. Holding Alt, sample, paint over and over and over again. For the sake of time, even though there's still plenty I need to do, I'm going to stop there. Um, I just want y'all to have a basic idea to get started. Still don't have those eyes and mouth right. Still have a whole bunch of unfinished stuff like I need to render the shoulders, all these hairs down here and things like that. Not drawing every single hair, but suggest them. But I think this is enough to at least get you started on the portrait. If you have any questions, let me know, and I hope you have a great day.